She was introduced to many of us on season 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race as being outspoken and bringing many racial issues to the forefront. She was named one of New York Magazine's top 100 most powerful drag queens in America, and she is the co-founder of Black Girl Magic. Her name is the Vixen, and she's about to be exposed. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, getting into a little bit about your life. You were born and raised in Chicago, right?
Born and raised.
And you're still there today.
I'm still there today. I just got back. I was spending most of my quarantine in New Orleans with my mom. But I figured the weather broke in Chicago. It's not as gloomy. I might as well go be a big boy at home. So
now, when you were younger, what was the Little Vixen like?
a Little Vixen was actually shy, I guess you could say. It's weird. So I have, on my dad's side, I have 10 brothers and sisters. But on my mom's side, I am an only child. And so my personality is very much like that. Like I can thrive in a group, but I need my me time. And so I was typically like off in a corner drawing or something like that. And I just got burnt out with all the kids a lot. So I would tuck myself away and work on the project, which nothing has changed.
So you were a little shy back then. What do you think led you to coming out of that shy comfort zone and then starting to dibble and dabble in drag?
Honestly, performing has like always been a part of my life. My grandmother was a church secretary, which meant that I was involved in everything. Every production, every Easter speech, every Sunday school, I had to be in it. And it was the only time that I was like not shy. I remember when I would have solos in the choir, I started singing with my eyes closed and someone had to tell me that I had to, perform. Like I couldn't just sing the song and get it over with. I had to like be present. And once I did, it like really opened me up. And I've been performing ever since, always in a dance group or a musical or something. And it just kind of made Vixen who she is today.
So if you can remember back to the first time that you performed in drag, when and where was that?
Oh God. So we always joke about this because I was a very androgynous kid between high school and college. Lots of weaves, lots of high heels. So in college, I lip sync to a recording of my own voice singing Beyonce's Sweet Dreams. And I had dancers and everything, and it was high makeup. I think I had knee-high Converse boots. She was getting there. And I remember coming off stage and a drag queen grabbed me and was like, next time, heels. And I was like, calm down. Like, it's never gonna happen. Little did I know. But I think that was one of the first times where the concept of like, I might be able to do this started to spark. And even like the audience knew, it was like, that's a drag queen.
And what about the name The Vixen? Is it true that you got that from like magazines?
Yeah, so I got the name The Vixen from like pinup girls, but not exactly Playboy, but like Vargas girls, like like the what you see tattooed on like a sailor's arm, those kind of girls. I was really into burlesque, especially the movie Burlesque. That's how young I am, I guess. And so it made me look up that kind of style a lot. And a lot of times when I was looking for Vargas girls, the name would be Vixen. And so I kind of had it in my mind that I was going to start a burlesque show named Vixen when I got old enough. And I would like spell out the name and everything. And then when the time came to pick a drag name, I was like, that.
Like I wasn't add the in front of it, and then it would be The Vixen.
Now that is the funnier story. One day somebody asked me, they were like, wait, is it Vixen or is it The Vixen? And I was like, yeah, it's The Vixen. And I just ran with it.
That's so funny. Like it literally was like a spur of the moment. And it was like, that.
Yeah, it just had a better ring to it. And I was like, I want that. Yeah.
So I've heard, don't know if it's true, are you the drag daughter of Tyra Sanchez?
I am officially the drag daughter of Tyra Sanchez. We were not originally, but I got to work with her this past November, and she came and did my show Black Girl Magic, and we really hit it off, which is a dream come true. And she took me under her wing, and you know, it's good to know that the people that inspire you are like giving you the seal of approval.
So going into, you said Black Girl Magic. Now, did you end up forming that before Drag Race?
Yeah, Black Girl Magic started a year before I was on Drag Race. It started while Shay was filming Drag Race, I guess you could say. Shay was in the first one, so as soon as she got back, I had already announced the show, but I was hoping that Shay would get back in time to be in it. And so as soon as she got back, I was like, girl, I got this thing coming, you gotta do it. And she's like, okay, fine. But yeah, so Black Girl Magic started in 2017, yes. And it's almost been 4 years, but it was started as 4 girls, and now we have up to 20 girls a show on Twitch, and it's really crazy.
What would you say is the importance and the message of Black Girl Magic?
I think what is so great about Black Girl Magic is it gives everyone the opportunity to acknowledge how special Black women are. It gives everybody just a day to say, you know what? Everything we get from you, and thank you for it. And I think, you know, it feels great for us as queens to receive that, but being in the audience, even like me as the host, like stepping into the audience to watch, it's just so great. I think Black Girl Magic is one of the only shows where you show up to love. You come to show love and to make somebody else feel special. Like a lot of drag shows, you know, you go to see like, oh, did they wear nails? Were the stockings ripped? But when you come to Black Girl Magic, you're there to make the person on stage feel good. And I just can't explain it. It's amazing.
Well, I tuned in to the one that you did on Twitch, like 2 weeks ago, a week or two ago? Mm-hmm. And yeah. I was by far blown away because I thought it was so cool, all the things that you guys were doing in the comfort of your home and being able to like do out music videos and you having your outfit changes and like all of this stuff. I was like so impressed that especially like drag as a culture and like you putting on this show has been able to slowly adapt, even though it might not be the most favorable thing right now, but it was really cool to see you adapt and then put something out and it actually be of like really good quality, which I think was like good saying. I was like, that's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one of the things that like, I guess, you know, like every show producer, the show kind of takes on your personality, and I am a perfectionist and a boss. So Black Girl Magic gets spoiled. It gets everything. When we first started the show in Chicago, it was the first show that had diva fans. It had the biggest stage, you know, like if I wanted it for my baby got it.
And shortly after you introduced that into the world, you end up being announced in 2018 as a contestant on season 10 of Drag Race. Now, had you auditioned before season 10 or was season 10 your first time?
Oh, season 10 was my 4th time auditioning.
Wow. What were the other seasons?
Season 9, season 8, I want to say season 5. It was something that was like way too early. My first time, I had no business auditioning.
And where were you when you got that phone call?
Oh, it was so great. So, well, okay. So they give you a lot of phone calls in the audition process. And so the first one was hilarious because I had just got tested and I was leaving the clinic and my phone was ringing and I was like, wait, that was way too soon. They should not be calling me this fast. And so I was like, but it was a California call. And so I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, thank God, it's just Drag Race. It's not Howard Brown. Okay. So that was a really cool one. And then there was like, I felt like the whole summer we were just on the phone, like, you know, checking in. And 2 weeks later, they'd call back. Okay, go do a psych exam. Okay, did that. 2 weeks later, they called and I'm like, what do I have to do now? And they're like, you got it. And I was like, I don't believe you. Like, this is, and the lady, I had woke up from a nap when she called and she literally said, call me tomorrow so that you know this wasn't a dream. Like, She was like, write my number down, and tomorrow call me so that you know I'm not bullshitting or that you're not hallucinating right now. Because I was like, can't be real.
That's crazy, and especially like in a dream sense, and like when you are taking a nap, it's like that's the one time you don't mess with you because you don't know if anything's real or fake.
Yeah.
So you end up getting on the show, you walk into the workroom, you say,
I'm just here to fight.
And I had heard that you had done that a few times, like a few takes.
Yeah, so I was wearing very high platform heels. So the first time I came out, I guess I was a little too tall for the camera because I also had platforms that had on horns, so there's a lot going on. So they had to adjust. And then I came out, and I think I was like somewhere off the mark. And so I did it about 4 times. And this is, so 4 times before they even met me, these girls saw, I just came to fight. And then I turn around and I'm like, hi, I swear I'm nice. And it's too late.
Do you think you saying that at like 4 times, do you think that that led to people's opinions of you being too strong at the first?
Oh, absolutely. It started as a joke. So it's a quote from Bad Girls Club. There's a girl in there who says, I just came here to fight, I'm gonna be honest. And my friends always said that was me. But it was supposed to come across as like lighthearted, like, you know, I'm just here to fight. But I was so nervous. Like coming through the door that when I said it, it was full on, because I was worried that the mic was gonna like I wasn't loud enough, and like all of these things were happening at the same time, and so it just came out a completely different way.
And especially since it's your first time like on television, you don't know any of those things, and then you go with it. And another thing that a big part of your arc and a big thing about you is that you are very outspoken and you speak your mind and you speak what's there. And it was like episode 3, and you and Aquaria got into it, and she ended up crying, and you ended up saying like, you know, it created the narrative of an angry Black woman, and you know, she's at the expense of like the white girl and scaring the white girl. What do you think pushed you to say that, especially on national television? Because that hadn't been heard of before on like a Drag Race person saying it. It's been said a lot on social media, and it's been said a lot through other girls that have been on the show. But what do you think pushed you to saying that actually on the show?
You know, it didn't occur to me. Like, I didn't think that I was, you know, making history in any kind of way. I'm just the type of person that says what's on my mind. And I really, it's strange. Like, you don't realize how often people censor themselves until you put themselves in a room with me. And you're like, I'm like, oh, we're not supposed to say that? Oh, why can't we? It's true. Why can't we say the truth? And so it came out because that's exactly what was happening. Yeah, I just don't have, like, I went into the show wanting to be authentic and wanting to, you know, like, not censor myself. I think we all noticed in season 9 that the girls were being very careful about what they were saying. And I did make a mental note of, like, I'm not going to hold back. I want the world to see me, is what I thought. Did not know, I should have got to know the world better first before but, so yeah, so when I said it, I was really just speaking I wear my heart on my sleeve and I speak my mind, and it just like, I was just calling it like I see it.
Yeah, and you end up speaking your mind there, and then you and Eureka, of course, they wanted to pin it against you guys the whole time that was happening.
I came for me, super. I do like you as a person. Go have your cigarette, bitch, because it's done.
And one thing is, when the Eureka drama started, I noticed that you started getting death threats and online problems online. How did you deal with that, and how did you take that on yourself? Because I know that if I would have gotten that, I would have been broke up on the inside.
I was not broke up. I guess enough alumni of Drag Race have gone through it where I almost expected it. And then some of the messages were so frequent, and still to this day are, that like, sometimes I'm like, you just have to laugh. I'm like, oh, that is congratulations. That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard. You win, sir. Today you take the cake. and then you just keep moving. It was definitely, so my elimination was the weekend of DragCon. So all of these messages are coming in on the weekend that I'm going to actually meet a lot of new people. So there was FBI involved, there was security at my booth. My booth was completely closed off. You couldn't see me if you wanted to. You had to, which worked in a way because it kept me from being nervous because I could only see the person in front of me and I could focus and like chill. And I wouldn't do it any other way because it is so personal. But yeah, it was, you don't take everybody seriously, but you can't take anything for granted when someone's saying that they're going to throw acid on you.
That's awful. Like I can't imagine that. And I think that you've handled a lot of those situations really well because it shows that you are strong and you are overcoming by like, I see you and you end up responding like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, like on Twitter and stuff when people say it, or like, don't tag me if you need to, like, why do you need to tag me to make me feel down?
I just, typically on Twitter or anything in messages when people send stuff, I think what I want to remind people is that I'm a human being and I have a mom and I have nieces and nephews and brothers and uncles. And when you send something to me, I'm not a statue that you can just like throw paint on. Like I feel the things that you say. When you send me a message, it goes to my phone and my phone rings and I get it. And I am sitting next to my mom and I'm looking at it. And so I try to put that in context for people online so that they think before they do these things.
Yeah. And when you see yourself on television, because you're seeing yourself on television for the first time, is there any moments that you feel like either A, you weren't edited in the right light, or B, you feel like you shouldn't have spoken up or said something because you think it painted you in a bad light?
Well, I think the light is 50% how America is just trained to view people of color. You know what I mean? Like, period. Like, everything in history, everything that we've been taught has taught us to favor white people in any argument and to question and be suspicious of people of color. So that's already working against you. And then part of it is, the show has its own narrative that they're directing the story in. I was very impressed watching Drag Race and knowing what I saw with my own eyes and then seeing what was presented and seeing how that was going to lead the audience to feel the way that they needed the audience to feel in the end. You know what I mean? Like even in other girls' eliminations, I could see weeks before that there would be like a cut of something, it's like they train you to start thinking, oh, that girl's not so great. And so like even like so you'll see like a little thing and then it'll all add up so that by the time she goes home, you're like completely fine with it because they've given you little things.
They've given you little appetizers.
Yeah, to discredit, yeah. So that is definitely impressive and scary. But for me, I don't think that I would say that I should have kept myself quiet to, not be seen in a bad light. What I would say is because I was so willing to take every argument head on, and honestly, I never started a fight on Drag Race, but I never ran from a fight on Drag Race. And I think because it was a competition and because there was, little sleep and so much work to be done, I think because I was so willing to get into those conversations and have those arguments, it pulled me away from work. It pulled me away from worrying about my runways. It pulled me away from focusing on competing and things like that. But in the long run, I'm very proud of what I did. So
that's good. And I'm very proud of what you did as well. And I'm very proud of you for speaking your mind because you opened a narrative that led to a lot of people talking about things and actually thinking about something for the first time where people wouldn't have thought about it before. And you get into the reunion and Rue starts bringing up the drama of, you and Eureka and you and Aquaria, and you do end up walking off.
And now that I've done that, y'all can have a good night.
Wait, Vixen, can I say something? Wait, okay, well, Vixen.
What did you feel in that moment not having support from a lot of the girls, or even Rue for that part?
Well, for the girls, I taught myself very early on as the show was starting to air not to expect much from the girls, because you have to remember this is their moment too, and they're for me, I felt like it wouldn't be fair to ask someone to go out on a limb for me when they're just trying to live their dream. They didn't show up here to be a part of the civil rights movement all of a sudden, you know what I mean? So I never held any girl to any type of responsibility for my story, and like during the reunion, Cracker was very supportive. Cracker and Asia came out when they could and wanted to make sure that I was okay. Rue, on the other hand, I was completely blindsided. I expected her to, have questions and things like that, but when the questions were so pointed and so determined to put me in this narrative as like this villain and to make sure that everything made my intention seem malicious. Like I had to look like I was stirring the pot. Like there was such a clear message, they wanted to end on a note with me. And it was like, why can't it just be why can't you take my word for it? And why am I being punished for telling the truth?
Do you look back on it? Like, would you say anything or respond to RuPaul in any way if you did have the chance?
I mean, honestly, I think what I did was best. And in me walking out, it wasn't just me being like, I'm done with this conversation, but I needed Rue and the producers to know that I did not need their 15 minutes of fame that bad that I was going to sit there and be disrespected in such a way. You know what I mean? And I think it's very telling that the Emmys chose a clip of me when season 10 won an award. And so I felt like I had done my job for the season. I felt like I had given them plenty of drama and plenty of whatever that they were going to need. And I felt at the reunion, I just wanted to get across the finish line. I just wanted to be done with it. And, okay, that was great. And we wrapped. And it was like a witch hunt. And I was like, it was totally just Stab Caesar time. And I was like, I didn't come here for this. So, yeah, there's a lot of little details that were either skipped over in the reunion or just completely lied about, that if I was completely sharp and had my notebook out, I would have been like, no, that's not, and what about this? But the bigger message was, fuck you, fuck this, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Well, you get out of there, and then I saw something that was really cool when Anne Hathaway ended up putting up on Instagram and ended up giving you a shout out and was saying I love you, thank you for being your true self and everything like that. How did that feel, having an A-list celebrity randomly just come out of the woodwork and say that she loved you?
That was so awesome. I'm a Devil Wears Prada girl, so that was through the moon. That was really good. And I remember it was a harvest moon or something like that. Sis had to be on mushrooms, or something was in the zeitgeist for her. She was feeling it, but I really appreciated that. I got a couple cool shout outs. Anna Kendrick gave me a shout out too, and that was okay, what's going on? I'm a hit with the white girls today. It's a good one.
That's so cool. Would you go back to All Stars if you were asked?
I've been thinking about this. Well, so many of my friends are going to be on the next season of All Stars, so I've really been thinking about it. I've been watching the latest season of Drag Race to condition myself to watch again, because I didn't watch season 11 because it's a triggering situation, right? So I've been trying to condition myself to get used to watching again, but I still see so many things and so many themes and triggers that I don't think that it would be a safe environment for me. And I don't think that it would be a healthy choice to put myself in. I read somewhere or something that said, you can't expect the person that hurt you to heal you. And so I think if I was to go back on Drag Race, there would be this idea of like a redemption or something like that. And I don't need to be redeemed. I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm good.
You didn't do anything wrong, because at the end of the day, too, you end up in New York Magazine's top 100 drag queens in America. What was that like? Like seeing, like, you know, you actually in a magazine as somebody that's quoted as powerful.
Awesome. But even the day before the reunion, like the day before we filmed the reunion, I received an award with Queerty's Pride 50 Most Influential 50 People since Stonewall, and just all these like top 10, 100 lists. So by the time the New York one happened, I was kind of used to it, but it was like, and that's part of the reason that I do feel so fulfilled in what I did on Drag Race, is because I know that it meant a lot to a lot of people, and that it changed the way that, because Drag Race is so influential, you know, like so many queer people watch Drag Race, but then also so many young people and so many young white people watch Drag Race. Because it is what it is, and because I did what I did on it, there can be no doubt that I have shifted culture in a very big way. And whether people like it or not, they think about the way Black queens are viewed differently because I was on Drag Race. And you can't take that from me, so.
Now, let me ask you, how can non-Black Drag Race fans be better allies?
I think the first step is to just question what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times we just kind of go with the flow. Like and I've seen memes like this before where it'll be like, I don't like a dress, but then the judges like a dress, and now suddenly I like the dress. And it's like, no, you don't like the dress. The dress is not good, but the narrative that the judges are pushing, they're gonna act like the dress is good. And so like, if you just, you know, think critically and question what you're seeing and don't be a sheep to what you're being told to like, I think that'll lead you in the right direction.
Good words. And I think you being outspoken is a great thing. You know, I think that you having a voice and being able to speak up for people is a great thing. Now, sometimes it can get you in a little trouble, but I think that it's led to such a good talk and such a good environment for people to be able to start saying what they feel about certain situations. And going into a little bit of the might get you in trouble, I don't want to really bring it up, but I'm going to. The Manila situation, about the tweet, and you know, you tweeted out about Kevin Hart, and she kind of responded back, and you know, there was some mixed words, and then bringing up a Sahara Davenport. How are you in Manila now? Has there been any type of progress, or is it just kind of like we are what we are?
Oh, I haven't seen her or anything, and I still have her blocked. And it's kind of the same thing that I was saying, where you can't expect someone who hurt you to heal you. What was happening was Manila was commenting on my page and then like kind of checking out. And so she would comment and then her fans would attack me, but she wouldn't be there for us to actually have a dialogue. So I would respond to her and then she would be gone for days, but I would be getting like all of this hate from her fans. And that went on for a couple weeks. So when I actually said the bad comment, I was like fed up because it was like I was being picked on. I felt like this was like happening. So I just decided, you know what? I don't know what the beef is, but you clearly don't have good intentions for me. And now you've made me come out of my person, you know, like now you've taken me to a place that I don't recognize myself and I'm saying things that I wouldn't say. So let's just cut it off.
And when all of that happened, this drama channel made a video about you saying why they did not like you. They went into the whole Manila situation and since have continued on with posting things. So when you posted the Alyssa Edwards palette, the Anastasia Beverly Hills, and you asked like, hey, like maybe I might be thinking about this a little bit too much, but this is what I'm taking from this. And these names, are these color shades. And then he put it up and then allowed for a lot of negative comments on that, kind of like aiding and pushing for a narrative. I guess my question to you is, there's two sides. There's like two types of people. There's the people that see what's happening, and then there's the Drag Race fans who may not want to see what's happening. Mm-hmm. Why is this affecting drag queens negatively, and what should be done about it?
Well, what happens, and what happened in that specific situation is, so suddenly in my instant message, in my DMs, I was getting more negative comments than normal. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, what happened? And someone finally tagged me in their post. And the thing is, so the drama channel, I blocked them a long time ago. And I even posted and made it clear that I didn't want them reporting on me. So for you to post a screenshot of someone's page who has blocked you and create a video about it, that's pretty much harassment at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I've shut you off and you still found a way to use my page to create content. I should call the police, right? Like, this is harassment. So that's going on. And honestly, with the Alyssa palette, I only said the names of the colors and asked why. I didn't say this is racist. I didn't say Alyssa is bad. So if anybody read my post and thought racism, they thought it on their own. You know what I mean? Because I didn't. And I was careful about that because I know Alyssa and I didn't want to send a witch hunt to her, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to genuinely see if I could just put the names up and if people would think what I thought without me having to say it. And a lot of people did. And so for someone who I've clearly asked to leave me alone, to take that and put it on their page, where the thing with that drama channel is they have a tendency of showing queens of color in a bad light. And then in the first video that they made of me, I mean, I don't know how many times I can talk about weaponized white tears, but to sit in your living room and film yourself crying over a tweet that I sent to another person that has absolutely nothing to do with you. But now your fans see you crying about me. And so now, and you have thousands of followers, doesn't matter how old you are, whatever, you're an influencer and you're using your influence to send hate towards me. When I tell you I lost at least 4,000 followers in a week. And to this day, I still lose 1,000 followers and gain 1,000 followers every week. So I am literally working overtime to correct the damage that's been done, because those videos are still up and people are still discovering them every day. So those people, even if there's somebody who followed me and thought, oh yeah, Vixen's great, and then they search me online, they find this thing that somebody's put out, this record of wrong that was one day, one hour of my life, because I deleted the post. 1 hour of my life has been haunting me for almost 2 years now. Not to mention the month of my life that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life filming Drag Race. But now, because this influencer decided to take a screenshot of me having a bad day and turn it into an hour-long white tears video, now I have to work double time to keep my following at the same state.
I think the thing that aggravates me about the whole situation as a whole, especially for queens of color, and what this drama channel is doing, is that my frustration comes from, there's a difference between saying, I put a disclaimer on my video and it says don't send hate. It doesn't matter if you say don't send hate. People are still going to send hate. So if I say something about this mug right here, and it's my opinion, and then you take the picture that I put up of this mug on your channel and you say, what do you guys think about this? That there is leading it into a negative light. People are going to be sending people hate. You can have an opinion on a dress. You can have an opinion on this and that. But when it revolves around hatred and forming an opinion about somebody, I don't think that that's right.
And when you know, like we all know, that the fandom has a huge race issue, and you keep putting queens of color on the chopping block for this unbiased opinion, you know how it's gonna go. And so I made it very clear that I didn't want to be on your chopping block for anyone's thoughts. And for you to do it again, you're harassing me at that point, and you're monetizing it.
Yeah, and then it's not right. And I think it's like, it gets to a point, and all I will say to fans of the world, and both of, if you're a fan of their channel, a fan of mine, just like look at things from a different perspective. You know, take a moment, and if somebody has an opinion, respect their opinion. If their opinion's wrong, don't send the person hate. It doesn't like, and don't keep continually pushing those narratives. It's just like an awful thing.
And with those types of drama channels, you know, they try to say that they like support the girls, whatever, but you never see them saying like, oh, the Vixen is having another Black Girl Magic this Thursday, like go and support. You know, like what is support exactly? You know what I mean?
That's a good point, because you never see videos on those channels of, oh my gosh, there were great performances last night on Black Girl Magic. Let's take a look at those and let's talk about some of those and like highlight those queens. You never see that. Yeah. That's interesting you say that.
Yeah, even with Reddit, you know, I do Black Girl Magic in Chicago is a monthly show. I've been doing, even on Twitch, I've been doing it monthly. I never see a post that says like, oh, the show was great last night, or oh, so I could donate $100 to every charity in the world. It will be crickets online. But let me have an opinion about, an unbiased opinion about a pop star or another. There are so many videos about me commenting on Taylor Swift or Gaga or any, you know what I mean? And why does anybody care what I care about a pop star? But for all the good I do in the world, those things never make headlines.
The Vixen and I actually did this interview one day after George Floyd's horrific murder. And when we did that, there weren't a lot of protests and everything that were happening then. And a lot of stuff has happened since. So I wanted to bring the Vixen back after all of this and have a little bit of a discussion around everything that's going on right now. So thank you so much for agreeing to come back on.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
So I guess I want to kind of open things up for you to be able to speak a little bit. Because I see a lot of posts, a lot of social media, a lot of people who understand and that are fighting for this cause. And then I see the complete opposite. And I see people that are saying, you know what? Why do you keep saying Black Lives Matter? Like all lives matter. So I guess my question to you is, what do you say to people that say something like all lives matter? Like how can you help them understand that there's a lot more going on than what they're saying?
I wouldn't waste my time, because I feel like at this stage in everything, if somebody is still choosing to say all lives matter, then they know that they're being aloof to very serious issues. And I think it's like, at this point, I'm beyond trying to make room or wasting time or emotional labor to teach somebody who doesn't want to be taught. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a mystery why we're saying Black Lives Matter, and it's not a mystery that all lives matter. Like, that's not. I don't entertain the idea that somebody isn't educated enough to figure that out.
Yeah. Looking at everything that has happened over the past week, with protests happening and people actually coming together and the streets all over the US, all over the world, and, you know, actually fighting for the cause and fighting for Black Lives Matter, do you think that this will do something or be a pivotal moment in the United States? Or do you think that it could possibly be swept under the rug?
Well, unfortunately, history has shown us that it does get swept under the rug. We've gone through Ferguson and we've gone through Trayvon Martin, and this isn't the first time that we've had protests. It is one of the biggest times and one of the most potent. So hopefully it sticks. Hopefully this isn't another trending topic. It's very frustrating for a lot of us who work at this every day to, see this and appreciate the support. But like in the back of our minds, we have to wonder, like, once the news cycle is over and the media starts focusing on something else, are these issues not going to be important anymore?
And let me ask you from your experience too, do you have a moment in your life where you realize that you are not held to the same level as white people?
I don't have a moment in my life where I don't realize that I am not held to the same level as white people. It's something you learn very early on. Something that I've been thinking about a lot these past couple of days is just being raised as a Black kid. You're taught to avoid the police. You're taught, like, if you are walking down the street and you see a cop, you turn the other way, you know what I mean? Like, because you don't know what they can stop you for. As soon as I was old enough to start going outside by myself, I was getting speeches from my mom on how to not be stopped by the police. Like, even to this day, I dress a certain way because I don't want to look like a suspect, basically. My friends always say that I don't own a plain white t-shirt, and that's because when I was growing up, Black boys in plain white t-shirts end up on the news. So it's a thing that you deal with from day one.
That's a lot. And I think that is saying a lot too. I think that, I'm a white male and I never went through any of that, of my mom having to sit me down or fearing being able to go on the streets or any of that. And that in itself is privilege. And I think that that's what a lot of people forget a lot of times, is that these issues aren't because, somebody got arrested or someone, like, it goes a lot deeper than that. And little things that we wouldn't consider privilege are actually privilege. Like, and I think that that's a big thing. Like, we're not saying, like, to people like, oh my gosh, like, you're expecting a big gold spoon in your hand. Like, that's not what anybody is wanting. We all, or everybody just wants equality and to be able to be treated right. And I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, and I think hearing stories, from people and like seeing how you were raised. I would have never thought in my head, like, when I was younger, that my mom would be like, you know what? Watch out for the police. Watch out what you wear. Like, be sure that you get back home at a certain time, be wary of where you are and all that stuff, because you don't think about that. You shouldn't think about that when you're living. Like, that should never be a thought that goes through your head. Literally, it should be like you're living your life and you're enjoying your life, and you shouldn't live in fear at the end of the day. Yeah,
you should grow up believing, and some kids do grow up believing, that the police are there to help you. And it's never been the case for me. It's always been, like I said, like, you do everything you can to avoid having any contact with the police.
Yeah. And what would you say to people that are not Black and that do want to help support the cause but are unsure of what to do? What should they be doing?
They should be doing the work and, looking for ways that they can help, and not putting it on anyone else to teach them, because that also is work. And so, I think at this point we've seen enough videos, we've seen enough trauma, enough brutality for you to know that there's an issue and that it needs to be fixed. And now it's on you to do the work to find out how you can help. And it doesn't always mean going to a protest. It doesn't always mean giving money, but there's something you can do from any place in the house. There's a million ways to help, and it's time to do something.
And I guess on leaving everything kind of on a hopeful note, what would you say you hope happens from all of this?
One, obviously I hope that less Black people get killed senselessly by police officers. I do think that it would be good to defund the police force at this point. And I would love to see, specifically in my own community, this is a big issue, I would love to see all of the funding that goes into police academies and riot gear and all of these things actually be put into education in underprivileged areas, because that's what leads to crime, is a lack of education. And so like we can solve two problems at once if we allocate these funds to the community.
So yeah, let me ask you, what do you think the biggest misconception of the Vixen is?
I mean, the list is long, but I think people think that because, you know, I've kind of owned the angry Black woman thing in a lot of ways. I'm not angry all the time. I'm not angry most of the time. There's a lot to be mad about, but I'm too busy trying to fix shit. I can't just, you know, like when you sit around huffing and puffing, you don't get anything done. I'm working. And I think if you really look at like season 10 or any Rue Girl, I challenge you to name somebody who has put more money in Queen's pockets in the past 3 years, Rue Girl or not, because my show, the thing about Black Girl Magic, it creates opportunities for local queens, but there's also more Rue Girls having the opportunity to do Black-centric things because of what I did on Drag Race. Rue Girls were not talking about race before I mentioned race on Drag Race. So you can feel how you want about me, but when you actually look at my actions and what I do every day, I challenge you to put me against your fave and see who's really doing the work.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. What do you think? What's next for you? What's coming up down the pipeline?
Oh God. Apparently I need to buy stock in Twitch. There's a lot of drag shows coming. I'm trying my hardest to say yes to everything, but it takes 3 days to make a video, so bear with me. Before all of this, I was working on my album. I am a musician. I am a singer, a songwriter, and a rapper. And I was able to make one video to my song It's Happening, and then I was able to make a video for Room featuring Shea Coulee. So those are on my YouTube page, and I've got so many demos that are in the queue that I'm just gonna figure out ways to get to the public. And I might not put out an album, but I'll put out a video every chance I get, once at a time. So there's music coming, there's tons of more Black Girl Magic shows. We got Pride Month, so we're gonna be doing a lot, however we can. We've got social distancing, and now we've got police brutality. There's a lot to talk about. But I think through political unrest comes great art. So I'm excited to see what my portfolio is gonna look like in a year.
I think you have a lot, like, you know, you can work with. Like, you doing music, you doing your shows, like, and being creative over that, you doing your own outfits, like, all this stuff is so cool. And I mean, your makeup today is bomb. I love your eyebrows. Like, the eyebrows are amazing.
Thank you.
And then on your little Twitter, I see that you've been doing a little something else on the side.
Yeah. Oh my God. So you're talking about OnlyFans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Imagine you were like, no. What
Oh yeah, imagine I was like, no, actually, I'm talking.
Right. I thought you were knitting. Okay. So I launched an OnlyFans page. It's actually been in the works for a while. My friends have been talking me out of it for the past year. But like I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve and I speak my mind, and I'm just an open book. And I'm a very sexual person. And I don't like hiding anything about myself. So it just felt natural for me to be able to have a space to share these things. And so the quarantine kind of gave me an excuse to be like, oh no, all the gigs are canceled. I guess I'll just start. But it's been really, really fun. And just like, you know, like, since I can't go out and I can't like be at the club and like with somebody, I can at least be sexy on line and like get a little love. So I've been enjoying it.
There you go. As long as you're enjoying it and having a good time, why not, you know? And then you can get a little coin from it. Like,
Yeah.
So what would you say is a message that you have for the LGBT community, whether it be those that are struggling to be themselves fully or those that, you know, are having a hard time during this whole quarantine thing? Like, what's a good message that people can, you know, just hear?
I always try to put this message in people's ears. You know, a lot of times we find ourselves in situations where we wish someone would say something. You know, like you're on the bus and somebody's like being rude to a little old lady, or, you know, those types of things where you're just like, oh, I wish somebody would. And, you know, every once in a while, there's somebody who is not with the shit and they get up and they go, hey man, that's not cool. And you're like under your breath, oh my God, thank you. Be the person, say the thing. Because as I have learned, when you speak up, for everybody who's afraid to speak up, everyone in the room is whispering under their breath, thank you. And I've gotten so many messages from people who may not be able to say in public, you know, thank you, but there are so many people just waiting for someone to speak up for them. And so never hesitate. If you're not in danger and you can do it without getting hurt and you got the balls, do it, because we need those people. And without those people, nothing gets done.
Ooh, I love it. And as we bring everything to a close, my last question for you is, if you could, for one evening, put on another drag queen's shoes, either past, present, who would it be?
So the first person that came to mind, and probably if we could actually do this, I would probably regret it, but I would love to spend the day as Crystal LaBeija. Because where would we be without Crystal LaBeija?
So true. That's a really good one.
And I've thought a lot about her, and for me, Crystal LaBeija is the originator of Black Girl Magic. If some people don't know, but Crystal LaBeija started the ball scene because she was experiencing so much racism in the pageant systems. And so she started throwing her own parties and contests, and that became the ball scene that gave us Pose and gave us Paris is Burning and gave us Drag Race. And so literally someone starting something just like Black Girl Magic out of need and necessity for a safe space created a whole culture of queer people being proud and out and present in the world. So hopefully 60 years from now, somebody will be talking about me in this way. But yeah, Crystal LaBeija.
Such a good answer. I love that. And where are you on the socials? Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at The Vixen's World on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find my OnlyFans at Untucked Tony. You can find my naughty Twitter at Tony Untucked. And you can find my Venmo at The Vixen's World as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Vixen. I enjoyed our whole interview and diving into your life.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. And guys, be sure to comment below what your favorite part of the interview was. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit up all the Vixen's lovely socials, and give her some praise and some love, because this was a real interview. This was a good interview, and she gave you the tea and everything about her life. Also, if you want to see me keep putting out this content, which I love doing, hit the little Patreon link in the bio. And until next time, bye.